Well, Stu, 4 from 4 for the All Blacks. On paper, that looks very good. How impressed are you, though, about the way they're going about those victories?
Well, Tom, you've got to look at first a win. And so they've gone into this Rugby Championship in pretty good form after 3 against Ireland. We've locked away the Bledisloe Cup, which is a little small tournament played inside the Rugby Championship. I think Steve Hansen will be pretty happy that he's got 2 up against Australia, 1 against the Pumas and 1 against the Springboks. So we've got a really good lead on the leaderboard, which is all about, gathering and putting trophies away in the cabinet. We've got the Bledisloe Cup tucked away for another year, and this one is what they're after. So that's why there hasn't been that many changes. And the form isn't too bad. I mean, I always look at a test match. It's a lot different than Super 15, and we had 2 really good sides, the Pumas in Wellington, South Africa, down in Dunedin. They were really true test matches, full of brutality, physicality, commitment, pressure. And our guys just keep on trucking along, and we intend to win these games in the last 10 minutes. So I'm pretty happy, even though, the New Zealand public their expectations are too high. Sometimes they expect the All Blacks to win by 30, 40, 50 points. But when you get good sides, we just accept the win and move on.
Is it true that we've just been a little bit spoilt? I think we had a great Super 15 year with some very entertaining rugby, and the Test match, which is a little perhaps more structured, isn't as free-flowing, and we're judging it by that scale?
Yes, we are. And, the Chiefs were the instigator, and the Hurricanes, and at times, of course, the Highlanders and the Crusaders are showing what they're worth. And, there's normally the Super 15 rugby is a lot more high with scores. But the whole thing is the New Zealand public got to realise, Test match rugby against the greatest foes that, we respect in world rugby, being South Africa, is never an easy game. And, you take out what they did, those South Africans. I mean, they had probably a dozen, if not 10, of their frontline players not available. But you never hear them, making an excuse that, we've lost. Imagine if we lost 10 of our frontline guys. It would be a different team altogether. And, they never complained. I always knew it, under the grandstand or under the roof at Dunedin at the Forsyth Stadium. It was going to be a hard yakka. It wasn't going to be a blowout by us. You've got to chisel away for every point. And, if they'd knocked a few goals over, they missed probably 6 penalties in that first half, they could have gone into the tunnel leading by quite a big way. But that's Test match rugby. They're blaming the conditions. What conditions? There's no wind. Well, they say there is a wee bit down there, but it's just the pressure that goes with the game. You play the All Blacks, you're under immense pressure for 80 minutes. They put pressure on us. So we made mistakes. And that's what Test match rugby is all about. They don't expect big blowout scores, every game. A win by 1 point against our greatest foes is worth a 100-point win. And that's what the New Zealand public sometimes fail to gather.
What I'm enjoying about this championship is the form of Argentina. There's a prospect they could turn up and get a bit of a walloping every week. Started a bit shakily, very good at home, and performed well away at the weekend. So them coming in and being competitive has made this for me this year.
Makes you wonder, Tom, why weren't they there 10 years ago? Should have been. They perform well at the World Cup. They're currently ranked, I think, 8th in the world, and they're playing number 1, number 2, and number 3 in the world regularly. Now, that's a big ask, and they have absolutely, but it delighted me. What I saw in the Cake Tin at Wellington was a fully committed side, and right to the end, again, it took the last 10 minutes before the All Blacks to put them away. I had money on them at School Stadium against the Wallabies on Saturday night, because I thought, gee, if they take that attitude across the bloody ditch, they could give the Wallabies a bit of a hurry up, and they did. And again, it was just the calmness of Australia to get out of that hole. And that you can't tell us that, you're going to pounce them by 60, 70 points, these guys. They're a good side. And they're going to get better because they're playing the best 3 countries in the world. So to me, they've been the revelation of this whole tournament. They're holding up. They could have won a couple of games. They got a draw against South Africa at home. I think it might have been Mendoza or Buenos Aires. So when we ship over there in a couple of weeks' time, again, we have to be on, our game to get out, because there'll be 40,000 screaming South Americans, and they're playing at home, and, you got to bring your A game to beat them. And that's fantastic for world rugby, and particularly rugby down here.
What they haven't got is experience at closing out those big games, have they? Because they've had 2 or 3 games already where just a bit of background, being in that position, they could have shut it down, and they haven't. But that'll come with time.
It will. And I didn't think they would play as competitively this time round. You know, in the inaugural, rugby championship, I thought it might take them a couple of years to get involved because they are playing the best in the world. But they have certainly showed everyone, including the Northern Hemisphere teams, that these guys are going to get better and better as they play the best 3 teams in the world. So when they trip to the Northern Hemisphere at the end of the year and maybe take on some of the Northern Hemisphere sides, they're going to think, well, if we don't bring our best game, we're going to get tipped over. So it's good for them. Maybe we should look at further down the track getting a side in there into the Super 15 or make it Super 16. I'm not too sure. But they deserve their position, and I would say their ranking in the next 2 or 3 years, I think they're ranked 8th. I would say that would start to climb up a little bit. If you continually play like that against us, South Africa and Australia, they have been an absolute delight to watch.
I just want to touch on a couple of positions. Your specialty, outside backs, of course. Corey James seems to be a certainty. What's your feeling on the other wing? We've got Gear, we've got Severe, we've got Guildford. What's your ideal combination?
Well, I like Severe. He's a bit different to Corey James. I'm a big believer of having a power winger and, let's say, a clever winger. Corey James is a very clever winger. He's not a big bruising 14, 15 stoner, but he brings to the game some intelligent rugby. Him under the high ball the other night, it was just outstanding, and given the opportunities, he can beat guys and score tries. But where Severe brings you just power, speed, youth, and I think, with 2 different style of wingers, I think that's a good ploy that the All Blacks are using, and I think you just got to keep playing Severe. He's the future, he's young. You just saw him on Saturday night when he carted the ball up. He attracts 3 or 4 defenders. And, he was getting hit by the big boys up front, by the South African fullback, and he was just still going. So it's a good combination. I really do enjoy watching Corey James play because he's a clever footballer. And I think Hampton's got the mix pretty right at the moment.
And is it goodbye, Periwipu? Have we seen perhaps the back of him now? I've just felt he struggled at the weekend.
Yeah, he did a bit. I didn't think that the All Black forwards gave him that much good nut. I mean, to be honest, South Africa in that first 20, 25 minutes, they gave us a fair belting. They were winning the collisions, they were winning the tackle ball area, the breakdowns. They were going at us, and so we couldn't quite stamp any sort of authority on our game. And it wasn't until, Petty went off just after half time and then young Aaron Smith came on. Our forward pack started to go forward ball. We started to win the collision zones. We started to steal a bit of their nut. And, of course, that's what Aaron Smith likes. He likes the ball nice and quick, where I think Petty was a bit hard done because the ball was pretty slow. And Mullock, he made a couple of mistakes. But then, Tom, I saw him in Cape Town in the last 20 minutes against the Timmers, and that's all you wanted. He came out and controlled the game. He talked to his loosies forwards. He said, you go there, I'll organise this. His kicking game was good. So we saw a little cameo from Petty 2 weeks ago, which was a delight, and that's why he's in the team. Unfortunately, he would probably be a little bit disappointed with the 40 minutes that he got down in Dunedin. But then, I don't really think the All Black side at that time were going that well anyway. So he had a forward pack that was struggling a little bit to get some ascendancy, and so his game suffered.